Hello everyone and welcome to your NARSA weekly update for the week commencing Monday the 29th of January 2024. Yeah, that's it. That's January almost done. 1/12 of the year behind us, and I don't know, I think is it when you get older you start to just count time and everything's all kind of prefaced with where does the time go? I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, but anyway, it's Gary here again, and this past week really felt like we were back into the groove of regular competitive action, didn't it? Of the games that we were covering, or we've covered over the last couple of weeks. We did have 3 games in the space of a week. We had 8 goals. We had 8 goals for, I should say. We had 1 against, and by the way, the 1 against was from a League 2 team, and of course from a set piece. That's the way that we do things, and the other 2 Premiership teams did not score against us. And the key part for me is that this start that we've had after the winter break is as good as I can remember in recent times anyway. You know, we've even back to Steven Gerrard's revolutionary time back in 2018 and beyond. We came back, things were starting to really take shape, kind of, you know, the puzzles of the pieces of the puzzle were really falling into place prior to the winter break, and then we came back and just could not get it going until essentially it was too late. Not this time, not under Philippe Clement, and as I say, 3 goals, only 1 against, and including 2 league victories is absolutely what we're looking for, and long may that continue. We also made a signing. Welcome to Rangers Football Club, Mohamed Diomande. I don't know if I've absolutely butchered that or not, hopefully not, but you might have seen actually on, maybe I should have done this part on the communications update, but you might have seen videos that both his previous club that we can say now, and I'm definitely going to butcher this, FC Nordsjælland, whatever it's called. I've completely, balls that one, but they put together a video that was essentially looked like they were just finishing lunch or breakfast or something, and they were either going out to train or maybe coming back in or something like that. But it seemed like one of the coaches was just basically doing a farewell speech to him, and then Mohamed got up and said a speech as well, and it was basically, you've made friends here, you never know when our paths will cross, don't ever hesitate to reach out. Very, very supportive, and you could tell that they had a real family atmosphere there, and that there was genuine affection both ways as well. So what a grounding to come from, and hopefully he gets more of the same at Rangers. And also Rangers put out a video as well. They're getting very creative with their videos now when we're introducing new players into the fold, and they put on it was kind of like a highlight reel of the trophy liftings over the last wee while, and some epic moments over the last 4 or 5 years or so. And then he kind of picks up the phone and says, I've made my decision, I'm coming to Rangers, and it's very, very well put together as well. So I love that. But the interesting part of his transfer to us is that they've got him on loan essentially between now and the end of the season with an obligation to buy. I don't know about you, but that started to just come in this transfer window, I guess. Maybe it's a thing that you would do in the winter, more so in the summer, I'm not sure, but it used to always be the option to buy. So there was no true obligation. It was just a case of, if you want to buy them, this is how much. I think typically they would set the fee up front, so that if the player does well or does worse than expected, the fee's still the fee, and then there's a bit of protection for both parties, or I guess for all parties concerned. But this obligation, I've just started to hear that now, so it's obviously different from the option where you're kind of like, we'll make up our mind once we see what we get. Now they're saying, we believe in this enough, so I'm assuming it's to help with some sort of financial fair play or financial accounting. Maybe there's different fiscal years involved or something like that. But yeah, a little bit different, something a wee bit interesting there. In the transfer market, we obviously have, what would that be now, 4 days or so, 3.5 days to get to the end of the transfer window. And there was some rumour on the weekend there that Cifuentes might be on his way over to Turkey with with a potential £2 million deal as an option to be mooted for the summertime if that deal goes through. So I'm not sure. Hopefully there'll be a wee bit more activity in the coming days, because of course we're still very light up front. But the manager knows what he's doing. I have complete faith and trust in him and the board to do what needs to be done so that we can get what we need when we need it. So on to the game segment for this week, and we had two games this past week, and that started with Wednesday's 3-0 win at Easter Road, which, as you know, was one of our two games in hand at the top of the table. And that was, one of these thorny games at Easter Road, but we came through it with flying colours with brilliant goals from Ridvan Yilmaz, after a fantastic ball from John Lundstrom. What a difference Philippe Clement has made to John Lundstrom, or maybe what a difference Michael Beale not being there anymore has made to John Lundstrom. I don't know, but he's playing very, very well ever since the new manager came in. And then a second goal from what seems to be now Scottish football's punching bag, Todd Cantwell, and then a beautiful, absolutely brilliant, slow motion, deft finish from the man who's in form right now, my main man, and I've been saying that for a very long time, Cyril Dessers. In a game overall that we could describe as solid. We played some good football, we defended when we had to defend, and we did what we had to do to get the job done. And that's kind of synonymous with the games at Hibs, and kind of somewhat similar to Tynecastle, that they're very entertaining. But the real shift for me over recent seasons, I hesitate a wee tiny bit when I say seasons, but over recent times maybe is a better word to use, that my own personal mind shift when it comes to these games. It used to be trepidation. What if they score first? What if their fans get really into the game? We had previous for buckling under the pressure and really just, kind of standing there with stars in our eyes, just not really having a clue what was happening. But now it's just, we know we're going to get a game, but we'll also find a way to win. And I think that's very refreshing. It's certainly very refreshing for me from a, anticipation and looking forward to it perspective, and also, from, I know what we're going to get here now, and it's back. It's kind of like back to either the 55 season or prior to that, when Walter was there as well. You just knew they were going to find a way to do it, and that's what I feel like now. And it hasn't taken too long to get to that spot, so that was great. The positives, of course, the results. The 3 points is critical for us at this point in the season. 3 different goal scorers, and is the brilliance of all 3 goals. Truly, those were 3 highlight reel goals there. All for the first 2 were kind of screamers, if you like, and then the third one was just so unique. I don't think I've actually ever seen a goal scored like that. It's the sort of thing that you could imagine, like Jermaine Defoe conjuring up, or maybe at his absolute peak, Lionel Messi coming up with something that where you're like, why would you even think of doing that? Just absolutely brilliant. And another positive would be, I guess, more game time for the returning players, and Jack Butland doing what Jack Butland does. He just crucial saves at crucial times, before we scored, and then there was a brilliant save he did when it was 2-0 to us in particular, where it's never done, and that's back to when the goalie was there, when Alan McGregor was there in his prime, Stefan Kloskris was. These guys were just fantastic, and you just never knew what was going to happen until the ball was in the back of the net, or invariably, which happened more often than not, the save was made. And again, it's not like heart in the moment stuff. It's have a go, and if Butland can get to it, he will. So that was fantastic as well. Yeah, very, very efficient and effective performance, I thought. And from a negatives point of view, I actually don't have any at all that I can remember for this one. To be very honest, on the statistics, it was 60% possession for us. We had 16 shots on target. 16 shots on goal and 8 shots on target. I think I get that wrong every single week, don't I? And they had 5 shots on goal with 3 on target. On the referee watch, I think Stephen McLean did all right. The only main thing I'd like to comment on here would be the VAR call for Tom Lawrence's disallowed goal, which would have been the 4th goal. It was so marginal, and even when you see the lines, you're looking and you're kind of like, I don't know. And back in the day, it used to be, that the linesman would be instructed, and the referee, of course, but the linesman more so would be instructed to give advantage to the attacker if it became a situation where you're not 100% sure. That seems to have just completely gone by the wayside now, because I think they've got some sort of scientifically, infallible process to be able to figure this sort of stuff out. That's obviously not the case. But when it gets to that point, how does the referee not get called over to make the decision, where you get the two VAR referees where they're kind of like, I don't know. And then they could just say to the referee, do you want to go and have a look? And then the referee gets to decide, because ultimately it is up to the referee to decide, what calls he's going to make and what calls he's not going to make as well. So that was a bizarre one. And I can't see how that guy would, with any level of confidence on the field, or even from a VAR perspective, would have chalked that one off. So not really the referee's fault. So I don't think it did too much wrong, other than, I guess, following the rules. So he'll get the standard 7 out of 10. Nothing too spectacular there, but nothing bad either, which is good. The second game was Saturday's 1-0 win in Paisley, and which is, of course, as you know, the most voted, the most beautiful town in the history of humankind, which is nice, and it just happens to be where I'm from as well, which is a fluke. And that was against St Mirren, and with another brilliant goal by, and I think we're going to start calling him, we have to start calling him CD9. Cyril Desser's 9, CD9, Ronaldo R9. He's in that category now. His third goal in 3 games in a week, and this one came after a brilliant goal again from John Lundstrom, and what Philippe Clement described as not a sexy game, and I think he was absolutely spot on from there. That the goal was brilliant, the conditions weren't so brilliant, were they? And we did have other chances to give ourselves some breathing room, and hitting the post at one point as well. But again, Jack Butland did what he had to do. Yes, they hit the bar towards the end. There was kind of like the outside of the bar post, like maybe the corner part, but it was on the outside. It wasn't one of those ones where you're like, oh, we got away with one there. It was just like, yeah, I think if it was going anywhere close to goals, Jack Butland would have got there. And there was nothing really to worry about in the game. I think overall it was okay. On the positives front, that again, the result, the third away game in a week, and another clean sheet in the league. I think that's something like 11 goals we've lost in total, so it's almost less than a goal a game, I think, or maybe it's exactly a goal every 2 games. So something like that. So it's fantastically impressive, the record we have right now. And another winner from Cyril Dessers in a very, very strong performance by him. The commentating team were lauding him. Any articles I read online were lauding him as that was one of the best, if not his best performance of the entire season for us as well. So putting in a performance and getting the goals as well, good for him. Really, truly good for him. The defence played well. I thought John Souttar had a fantastic game, and that's what you're going to get from John Souttar when you start to give him more game time, more playing time as well. And then the changes to the team made by Philippe Clement, and still I think there was 4 changes to the initial starting lineup, and we still managed to win the game and see it out, relatively comfortably. The team just keeping their heads. Another positive aspect is, we're getting booted all over the pitch here. I would still like a wee bit more steel and determination from the team to get up and not put up with any nonsense from these absolute cloggers. But the team, I think one of the key parts is that it seems to be drilled into them. Don't lose the head. Don't go after them. Let the referee do its job and stuff. The only part there that I'd love if Philippe Clement would maybe do is just to come out and talk up. Very physical team. The referee let a lot of fouls go. It didn't materially impact the outcome of the game. It's always more powerful and impactful, I think, to do that when you're doing it on the back of a victory and it's not sour grapes. It's not something you're doing on the back of a defeat, because it looks like an excuse then, and you're just kind of attempting or appearing to look like you're clutching at straws to try and find some sort of reasoning, rationale, or excuse to talk away the performance and the result as well. That's that's what I'd love. That's what I'd love to get organised. So yeah, you never know. We'll see what happens over the next wee while. On the negatives front, the biggest negative I think from the entire game is I slept in for the game. Yeah, I did. I talked to Leo a couple of times during Friday night to say, remember, I'm up early for the game in the morning. You don't have to get up. I'll just watch it in bed and that. And then I went to bed and I kind of went, yeah, this is going to be a great day tomorrow. I'm looking forward to this. And then completely forgot to set the alarm. So I had to go back and rewatch the stuff that I missed. It's not very often that happens, especially when I'm not been drinking, folks. So that's just one of these things. But other than that, this is really one of those games that we won't remember, come the end of the season. But they're so crucial to helping us mount a genuine, honest to goodness title challenge, and that's exactly what it seems to be that we're doing, folks. On the stats front, 62% possession for Rangers, a wee bit more than we had at Easter Road. And we had 7 shots on target with 2... No, I did that again. 7 shots on goal with 2 on target to their 5 shots on goal with 2 on target. I will get it right at some point. I promise I will. And on the referee watch, we David Dickinson. I don't know. So there's. I'm open to the prospect here that on the pitch that you see or hear something that's completely different to what we see, certainly from what we hear on the TV. And maybe there's things that we don't see on the TV as well, because there's only one sort of purview you get, and that would be through the camera lens. Because for the referee, for that game to end up with 2 bookings for us and not 1 for any of the St Mirren players, in what was essentially just a kick fest from them at certain points in the game, is just absolutely ridiculous. Yes, I know that at the end of the game he booked their nebby wee manager at the end, but I get he just sees things completely differently to us. But it feels like, and I know I'm biased, I know 100% that I'm biased, but it feels like we're refereed to a different standard. And I know I've mentioned that before, and I've mentioned it before under somewhat duress type situations, where I'm upset about something that's happened because it's so blatant. And at this point, I'm not, because we didn't have another injury or anything like that. We didn't lose any points in the game or anything. But when you're looking at it, how some of their challenges would go unpunished, and then what we get booked for, is what we get booked for. That's not following the letter of the law. That's just picking and choosing what you want to do, and that's not good enough. That's not the referee's job to do that. So you have to be better than that, David, and get yourself organised and do what you're supposed to do. And back to what I was saying, if Philippe Clement just came out as we're winning and just continued to subtly call that stuff out, then we're on a bit of a different playing field as we go forward, and you can be subtle like that, of course. Just the one game this week, a wee bit disappointing that we don't have a midweek game, but yeah, just the one game. And this is interestingly, this is in the league, of course, this week, and it's also the start of 4 home games in a row for us, which would also mean that in the league, of course, that mob from the East End are going to be away, and we know how that kind of takes a toll. As well as you're going away, it's a different type and style of game, a different type and style of energy that you're using as well. So, you have to cast your mind over to the other side of the city just to see what's happening over there. So that's good news all round. And this weekend's game is at home to bottom club Livingston. And I'd mentioned Livingston a couple of weeks back. They're having a hell of a season. I believe they do play Ross County this midweek, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday this week, and it's a must win for them. If they don't win that, I think they're going to get relegated, and see how it goes. And it just looks like David Martindale's, I don't know, his magic, his luck maybe has run out, and you can only go on a shoestring budget and really have players overperform for a certain amount of time, and even after that, then nobody can do anything about that. So I feel for him, because I do like him. I do like his story and the story of Livingston in general, but obviously not when they're playing Rangers, and I hope that we would get a good result against them. That game's this Saturday, and that's a 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time kickoff, and that's 3 p.m. in the UK. We've played them twice this season, and they haven't scored against us yet. I hope I'm not jinxing the team by saying that. And we had a 2-0 win in mid-November, the most recent game, and that was goals from CD9, of course, and James Tavernier. And then we enjoyed a 4-0 victory in September against them, and it was 2 goals from Abdallah Sima, 1 from Ridvan and 1 from Ryan Jack, interestingly enough. So either of those results, or even something in the middle, 3-0, would be good. But this is a really good opportunity to bash in a few goals as well for the team, and give ourselves a real opportunity to claw back some of the goal difference as well. So yeah, that's what we're looking for RTV. just the one challenge on the weekend, and it was with Vancouver Downtown again, with challenges accessing the game on demand after the game has been finished. We did get, there was some dialogue on the NARSA WhatsApp group chat that you might have seen if you're party to that, and we then took it offline. We got engaged with RTV, and I think we now have a solution that's going to be absolutely fine for them going forward. So hopefully that one is behind us. On shout outs, I was a bit in between about whether to mention this one last week or whether to mention it today. I decided to plump for today, and it's to wish my love Erin a very, very belated happy birthday. It was Erin's birthday yesterday, and she enjoyed it, of course, by a visit to the Children's Hospital with one of her kids after another accident for her, I should say, and I'm very happy to say that everything's okay now, given a full clean bill of health. But sometimes with that lassie, if it wasn't for bad luck, she would have none at all. So I literally have not had a chance to see her and wish her a proper happy birthday in person, but I will be seeing her tonight. So very, very happy birthday, my love, and I cannot wait to see you. Here's another birthday message right now. This is where I'm either going to get myself thanked or I'm going to get myself into trouble. If I was a betting man, which I'm not, I imagine I'm going to get myself into trouble because I can't seem to get it right with this particular guy, but I don't care on this occasion because it's a very poignant, very significant birthday, and it's for former NARSA social media guru Andy Carey, who is celebrating it's a big birthday. I'm just going to say it's a big birthday, and I'm not going to say any more about it. For regular listeners, it's very, very similar. In fact, it's the same to his wife's big birthday that she had last February, if that makes any difference. And that's all I'm going to say about it. Just one more clue. It rhymes with nifty, right? And that's all I'm going to say about it. And he has a birthday this coming Friday. His parents, Andy and Big Andy as I call him, and Edna are visiting. They arrive, I believe, tomorrow morning sometime, or early tomorrow sometime, and then we've got a very fun weekend planned when they're here, including also another birthday wish, which I'll do in just a wee second here. And then this is where things, like in life, I say in my coaching practice, everything's connected. You know, your ability to act and react in this occasion has some sort of compounding effect in other areas of your life, and this is kind of one of those ones. So I know when Andy's birthday is. Andy and I have been friends and now family for decades and decades, coming up for 40 years. And I know when his birthday is. And I also know that I need to organise general meetings for NARSA because that's constitutionally the rules of what we have to do. So what do? I take these two events and I smash them together, and we are having a bit of a party day, of course, on Friday on his birthday. That's going to spill into Saturday, and I've booked a general meeting for that specific day. So you'll, I don't know, show up at the meeting, you'll have a great time when you're there, and I will be in festive spirits, and I might even agree to things. So if you've ever asked me for anything as the president of NARSA and I've said no, or I've said I can't, or I've kicked it down the road a wee bit, maybe ask me on Saturday, because I have a feeling I'm going to be in a great mood at that time and we'll get through a very entertaining meeting. What am I doing? I should just look at the calendar. I should do as I say. I'm going to do as I advise people to do as well. Whoops, a daisy. And one more birthday message, and they all kind of come thick and fast for certain members of the family, and that's to my nephew, Callum Carey, who is celebrating, I believe it's his 33rd birthday on Wednesday, and he's extended his home time. He works up north in the oil sands here in Alberta, and he's extended his stay because his grandparents are going to be here and he hasn't seen them for quite some time. So we're going to get a chance to celebrate with him on Wednesday. So going to be a busy week, and I think I'm going to be tired come this time next week. So you know what that means in terms of my voice and my preparedness for the pod and such. So we'll see how it goes. But happy birthday to everyone, either for when it comes, or as in the case of my love for yesterday. Also a special shout out to the women's team on going 6 points clear at the top of the Scottish Women's Premier League table with what turned out to be a very hard fought 2-1 win away to Aberdeen, which came on the back of the mob from the East End succumbing to a 1-0 defeat by Glasgow City. And Glasgow City have essentially been out of the title race for quite some time. They had a kind of horrendous start to the season. So that's great news for the women's team. You have to imagine now that it's coming home. Now it would take a catastrophic collapse, I think, and I just don't think that Jo Potter has it in her to take her eye off the prize or her foot off the gas. So it's looking very, very good for the women's team right now. And congratulations. I don't typically mention them, but now that they're starting to do really well, they're kind of in my thoughts. So good for them, and congratulations on that. On the convention update, we did do the communication with both hotels, the Omni and the Gaylord Palms. I owed them some information from Las Vegas, got that over to both hotels. We do have some information from Experience Kissimmee as to how things are going to kind of play out over the next wee while. We have a NARSA executive meeting tomorrow night, and that's essentially where we're going to just look over both proposals, and we're going to make a decision. I think we're either going to go to contract negotiations with both to see what they look like, or we will select one and we'll just go into contract negotiations with them and go from there. I'm not going to preempt exactly what we're going to decide to do, but that's where we're at for right now. The ideal state would be that we have a draft contract in our hands by the end of this week, and we can talk about that at the general meeting on Saturday. Either way, we'll have lots to talk about on Saturday as regards to NARSA 2025. So yeah, it's coming along. Another reminder for our friends over in the Sunshine Coast, and that's of course in Queensland, Australia, who are hosting the ORSA convention from February the 29th to the 3rd of March, and I will keep the websites there on the blurb for the pod for this week, so you can go see what fundraising activities they have, and they also have a whole bunch of other stuff going on to get you a wee bit excited. That's coming up pretty quick here now. I mean, that's just over 4 weeks away, I guess, isn't it? So yeah, good luck to Billy Brownlee and all the team over there, and I know exactly what it's like when you get to a month to go and you're thinking, how did that happen? How did we get to just a month? What's going on? And the panic kind of starts to set in. So I'm kind of glad it's not me, but I'm sure that Billy and the team are doing a great job over there, and they will have a very successful event. On the other business, I know that I've mentioned this a couple of times, but we do have the spring meeting or the winter meeting. I guess technically we're still in winter, and that's this Saturday, the 3rd of February. We're essentially going to start just about 10 minutes after the game concludes, so 10 a.m. my time, which would be noon on the East Coast, and we're going to just go through the standard agenda. And as I mentioned, we do have an executive meeting tomorrow night in preparation for that. All the documentation that you will need for the meeting, including the AGM minutes, including the agenda for the meeting, including the financials up to and including the very end of last year, you will have that as well, and we can have a more fruitful and robust conversation as a result of that. As I mentioned before, these meetings are usually quite sparsely attended. This one's, I would really encourage you to attend. It's not going to be too long. They're typically not long, the winter or spring meetings, and we'll get through the agenda fairly quickly. But one of the key things is that we're thinking about, do we want to support or help organise a mini NARSA, something that would be an opportunity for us to get together at some point over the summertime, and if so, where would it be? What do you actually want to see at the event? Understanding that it's not going to be quite as complete as a convention would be, but where do they want to go from there? So would really love the membership input and updates on that. And of course, we're going to be talking at the same time about what we want to do with the information that we've been given on David Holmes' book, and from his daughter Lynn and her husband Kevin, and how we want to kind of help promote the book over here and also get access to David, and whether we want to do that as a one-on-one interview with me, or we want to do that in something a wee bit more wider for the membership as well. So we've got lots of kind of cool things to talk about. NARSA 2025, the outputs of NARSA 23, of course, where we stand fiscally for right now, but then onto the fun stuff, the parties, and some legendary figures helping us out. So I would really appreciate if you could attend, and then we'll see where it goes from there. On the communication front for this past week, on the Gers guide, today we have away days chronicling the victory and at I was going to say Love Street, what is it, the Smisa Stadium it's called now, from the weekend. And then there's also game highlights available on RTV from both the women's team and the B team as well. I keep saying as well all the time because everything kind of adds on to that, but I don't like it, so I'm going to kind of try and change that over the next wee while. And then we have a loan review, and we have a segment called All the Goals, and this time it's featuring Peter Lovenkrands, and he had that real purple patch back in the day where he just couldn't stop scoring against Celtic. Remember that? That was absolutely incredible. Tomorrow, that's Tuesday, of course, there's an interview with Donald Gillies. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce that, but he's the Women and Girls Managing Director. So it's always good to hear hear from the people behind the scenes. Nothing slated for Wednesday. Thursday is transfer deadline day, so we might see some last minute excitement, or we might not, who knows, but it's kind of exciting to get to that spot. On Friday it's the press conference for the Livingston game. On Saturday it's the Livingston game in and of itself, accompanied with an interview with Ross McCausland, and then the feature segment of Follow Inside, where they're chronicling behind the scenes on the women's team. And then of course the big one is the NARSA general meeting, and on Sunday it's Rangers versus Dundee United at Broadwood, and that's the fourth round of the Scottish Women's Cup, or the Women's Scottish Cup. I'm not 100% sure what wording, what order they go in, but the Women's Scottish Cup fourth round tie against Dundee United, which will hopefully see Joe Potter's team go through and get into the next round. The club also announced a couple of things this last week which I thought were quite interesting. One of them, there was actually one today as well, which I'll talk about in a wee second. But one of them, in fact, I think this was today, was a partnership with Kellogg's, and they had, what did they have? They had Boris and Broxy, or Doris, or whomever it was in the changing room, with a whole bunch of Cocoa Pops and whatever other cereals that they've got there. And it's great to see Rangers getting involved with genuine worldwide brands, and a wee bit vague as to what that's going to be, other than advertising opportunities at Ibrox and maybe doing some local bits and pieces. But great to see that Kellogg's is part of that. I'm still at the stage where I eat cereal for breakfast most of the time, and I do enjoy it, so it's nice to get that as something part of the Rangers family. And then the other one was today. I just actually noticed it right now. What is it, 3:39 p.m. I noticed that a wee while ago on LinkedIn, where Karim, our Chief Commercial Officer, had said, due to outstanding results for the club over the last wee while, we have some key positions that we are looking to fill, and that there's a few senior positions on the commercial side, and one of them was commercial director. So they are going with a commercial director as well, which I guess would be James Bisgrove's old role. Of course, he's now been promoted to CEO, and this would be reporting up through the Chief Commercial Officer. So that's kind of exciting to see that they're investing in the areas that are going to make a fiscal material difference to the club going forward. So if you get a chance to see that, if you're on LinkedIn at any point, go see it, give it a share, put it out to your network. You never know who might have an opportunity to see it. And then last week, I thought this was really interesting. For a wee while, I maybe mentioned this before, I can't even remember if I did or not, but Rangers had struck up an agreement with Match Worn Shirts, who are essentially an online auction agency, if you like, that would get match worn shirts that would detail who wore the shirt and what game it was from. And then you get a chance to go in and bid. I think there's a lowest minimum bid, and then you go in and bid, and then it's kind of eBay style, and then if you're successful, then you get it. But what they've done now is they've essentially almost up the tier, or up to the offering of the partnership. So I'm going to read some of this out here if you don't mind. Rangers Football Club are today delighted to announce an enhanced partnership with Match Worn Shirt that will run until the end of the 2028-29 season. That's quite long, eh? And additionally, Match Worn Shirt will also feature as our back of shirt sponsor for the remainder of the current campaign, which debuted in the recent Scottish Cup victory win over Dumbarton. The club's relationship with Match Worn Shirt over the last 2 seasons has allowed Rangers supporters to secure the shirts of their idols, containing all of the match worn elements, all the mud, all the BO, I think. That's what they mean. And from selected Rangers fixtures. With the extension of the partnership today, the online auction platform will continue to be the exclusive home of worn and signed Rangers shirts for the next 5 years. Furthermore, the relationship will be enhanced with shirts available from every victory, with Rangers excited to be the first club to execute this model. I think that's amazing. And as I think about it now, I had a wee bit of a lament about it in the beginning, where I thought, that's too bad that you're going to have to go and try and buy these. One of the things that was good for charity auctions, or money can't buy prizes and things, was the opportunity. They were so scarce, weren't they? The match worn shirts, and then you would get them the opportunity to get them framed and put them up on your wall. But then that was my first reaction, and then when I thought about it from a commercial sense, it's almost like a no-brainer. Why would you not have done that before? You have access to, what would that be? How many do we suit up now? Is that 16 or so shirts that would be from a particular game? Let's say on average 14 or 15 of them are used, each time. Is it more than 16? Whatever's in the squad, is it 18 in the squad and we can use 16? Something like that. My apologies, I'm probably getting the numbers wrong. But anyway, there's a couple of cute things going on here. One, from every victory, you'll get an opportunity. So forget the defeats. The defeats, those are the crappy ones that you're going to be able to get access to at some point in the future. But from all the victories, when we're in a good mood and you're like, I'd really love to get Tav's shirt after he scored that fantastic free kick at Shark Head, for example, something like that, then you have an opportunity to get that. And from what I've seen in my cursory looks on this, they're not a lot of money, in comparative terms, in terms of the history that you're buying. So I think that's great, and it's great to see the club taking a wee bit more control over their intellectual property, essentially. So intellectual and physical property, I guess is probably a more accurate way to say it. So yeah, good for them for doing that, and it seems to be innovative. And once again, Rangers are at the forefront of this, and you'll see everyone else kind of catch up when they're ready to do so. Quick reminder for the email that Lorraine Spencer, Communications Director, sent out last week in terms of updates to the website. If you go and look at your club and the details are not correct in the club in terms of the location, the contact details, the committee members and such, please do make sure someone in your club responds to Lorraine and we'll get those updated. I think we're up to date now. There was a wee bit of a lag for a while there, and yeah, then we'll get that all done and dusted, and then we can move on and just keep each other apprised of what's happening. There was an advert put on the NARSA WhatsApp group yesterday, advertising the North American Rangers Curry organisation, and they're now hosting their 6th annual Curry Weekend, and it's going to be in Tempe in Arizona, and that's from the 15th to the 19th of February, which is typically Family Day in Alberta here in Canada, and I believe it's President's Day, I think it is, in the States. If you're looking for any information on that, you can contact Andy Burnett if you're connected with him on social media, or you can go to social media at Narco 2024. That's NARCO 2024. And if you're looking for a bit of sunshine and a wee bit of hilarity and Rangersness, you can head over there and make sure you take your suntan lotion if you live in the UK, or your sunscreen as we call it here if you live in North America. Okay, that a wee bit of a longer one this week. My apologies for that. I thought I had a wee bit of a shorter one, but I got on a wee bit of a tear there. That will do it for this week, my friends, and thank you very much once again for taking the time to listen, and please do share it with whomever you think might enjoy it. I did put a challenge down last week to everyone to share it with at least one person, and I know one person who did for a fact share it, and that was my lovely niece Chloe, and thank you very, very much for doing that. What I actually meant, Chloe, was share it with someone else who's not your uncle. That's what I meant with that. So if you could share it with another person that maybe doesn't listen to it, that was the kind of preface. Share it with someone who you think doesn't listen to it already, promote it a wee bit, and we'll hopefully get a wee bit more followership, or should I say followership, as we go forward. Until next week, my friends, here is to another resounding victory for the team on the weekend, to a successful general meeting straight after that, and to all the birthday folks on this particular week. Take care, folks. I'll talk to you next week. Bye bye now.